is we're going to start off the prospecting by just kind of taking little bites and seeing where that takes us. So, once again, it's the new part of the webinar series that Remote Backup has been doing for the past 3 or 4 months. Rob's going to be doing another technical one here coming up. I'm not sure when, but be on the lookout for your emails. You guys seem to certainly enjoy his technical ones much more than my sale ones, but we'll take that from there.
Ones, Dave.
Hey, all right.
Dave, this is Rob. Let me do a little housekeeping here.
Yes, sure.
This is Rob Cosgrove, and I'm on with Dave Branch. I'm the CEO of the company, and Dave is the VP of Sales. Today if anybody has any problems hearing us or with the webinar, then just type into your questions console. You've got a little console there on screen where you can type questions. Also, if you want clarification about anything or questions about anything, go ahead and type it in there. We'll either answer it by voice on the webinar, or I'll answer it for you by typing back at you in a private message. And I think that's all we have to we are recording this, and if the recording works, then it'll be posted on our website in about an hour after the webinar is over. Just let's know what we have to say and ask questions, participate, and let's let this be your webinar. Okay, that's it, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Robin. Absolutely. Certainly do participate and ask any type of questions that you want to. Just keep in mind that selling software is a little bit different. You're selling a remote backup, but it's still kind of a software issue to people. And so some of these things have worked for me. But if you've sat on any of my other ones, I like doing some quotes every now and then just to make it a little more fun. And this particular quote is, "Don't sell life insurance, sell what life insurance can do." And I'm not 100% sure who said it. Excuse me for that. But, Ben Feldman said it, but I never could find a picture for him, so I apologize to Ben right there. So here we go, prospecting, taking small bites. And there's two types of, oh, you can't? Let me,
no.
Okay, hold on. Show my screen, I'll hit that button.
There
I had trouble with it once before. Everything's good?
Yep, we got it now.
Okay. I'm going to back up. Well, I can just back up one. Okay, and I really apologize I couldn't see the screen, but we're going to be talking about prospecting and taking small bites. And I figured there's two types of prospecting. Of course, it's the thing that kind of built California on the left, and then, of course, prospecting is what we do a lot in business. But they're both worth their weight in gold, and when you start prospecting, you will definitely be seeing new clientele come aboard. And I just want to kind of get a little bit of a clarification on something. There really is a big difference in prospecting and lead generation. Lead generation is just that. You get names on paper or a computer screen, and I'm certain that they'll get an email from you or something like that. But prospecting is, without a doubt, something a little bit more personal, and you certainly can find out a whole lot more while you're prospecting than when you're just lead generating. But it's really just the ability to speak with someone who may or may not have a need. And prospecting takes opportunities and make them customers or not. And I'll explain that a little bit further as we move. And this is kind of a good area to explain it. And I'm not, what I'm not trying to do here is I'm not trying to say you guys have to start keeping a funnel. Most of you are very small businesses. I personally keep a funnel of what activity I have out there, so I can keep Rob informed of when we're going to have a good quarter, a bad quarter, that type of thing. But at least think about a funnel when you are doing prospecting. And for those who have never been introduced to a funnel system along with sales, I'll just try to explain it to you real quick before I go further. What a funnel really does is it takes leads, opportunities, prospects, and everything, and you throw all those into the top of the funnel. And when you get the way it's always been explained to me through many years of sales training, when it kind of starts moving up toward the top, then all the revenue starts coming out of the bottom. And I have a bit of a problem with that. And my only real problem with it is I actually want to try to get as much out of my funnel that is not going to buy as to get out of the funnel what is going to buy. And what I mean by that is, you know, you get stuff in your funnel that you hang on to and hang on to and hang on to, and the real funnel, the goal of the funnel is to generate revenue or to get rid of the tire kickers, the people that are not going to ever spend revenue with you, or we're just looking. And so if I had to do a full 2-day seminar on funnel chart, I would actually have a pipe coming out of the middle part of the side of it where the bad business could go jumping out. But at least it kind of gives you a concept of kind of what a funnel, or kind of the way some salespeople think about taking leads, prospects, opportunities, and generating revenue with them. And there's more, you know, the more that I get out the bottom and the side, then the more I need to pump back into the top. And you will discover that also, that, you know, right now, I certainly don't want to give that data away, but, you know, I know about how many, let's say, evaluations of our product come in. I know what percentage is going to come out the bottom from paying attention. So it really helps you track and focus on what your strengths are. And then we throw in little questionnaires, and these are some things that you might want to think about as far as growing your business, you know, prospecting and those types of things. But, you know, who does handle prospecting in your company? And we're going to discuss some of this further on. What is keeping you from prospecting?
Sure. Ask people to ask questions if they want, based on some of these things on here.
Sure. Oh yeah, I apologize. I'll start pausing after these, but you guys ask questions anytime you want to, and I can put the brakes on. Things like
I know
lack
personally,
of lead sources.
I'm a technical guy and not a sales guy, and it just scares the poop out of me to go prospecting. It scares me to knock on somebody's door. I also, in the past, haven't known where to get lead sources from, or especially if you don't know the product very well, it can be embarrassing, and you trip over yourself when somebody asks you, well, what it is you're selling, and how does this compare with ABC service? So, if anybody has any of those problems or anything else you want us to address, go ahead and type them in the questions.
You know, absolutely. And, you know, as far as the lack of lead sources and some of these, I'm going to be actually having those answered in the second series of this presentation. But, yeah, you know, Rob did bring up something. He doesn't want to go knock on someone's door and try to sell them something and mention the fact that he's technical. And, you know, that's about 90% of technical people. They sometimes don't really adapt that well into sales. Where
I have been able to make that work for me, though.
Yeah. Well, I think what you have to do is, in about 3 slides from now, is if you build a small marketing campaign that everyone in your company is behind because you're going to go after a particular market. I'm picking the medical industry when I go further in the presentation. Well, first of all, you should have a good understanding of the medical industry and what their problems might be on backing up before you go walk into someone's office. But, you know, just think how many salesmen go to medical buildings and medical offices every day and get in. I mean, those people are, you know, they're selling them medication. They're selling them all kinds of things. And so getting in front of a decision maker in a doctor's office is actually quite easy. And they're accustomed to salespeople coming in. So, and then you do not have to address yourself, Rob, as a salesperson. I'm a technical support engineer for a company here in town, and I just wanted to find out, are you guys secure with the way you're doing backup of the data on your computer systems? And then let them elaborate and go from there. But if you've always got something, we're going to cover this a little bit further, but if you've always got something you can hand out, and you find one of those medical places that's not backing up, then you got to get aggressive. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line, and that would even make things even worse, Rob, for someone like you, because you have to get very aggressive sales-wise. Because when you see an opportunity, you better go get it. You know what I mean? And And so I'll move on. And we talked a little about this. Find out what works for you and your company. I have a sneaky feeling that most of the people, that a large majority of the people that I deal with out there are the partners or owners of the company, you know, to get their subscription renewals and add them more credits and everything else. I also believe that that same group of people are probably the ones that are doing the prospecting and selling. So, you know, find out, go after a niche or a market. It doesn't have to be a niche, but go after something that people in your company are knowledgeable about. So the opportunity or prospect you're going after feels that comfort. And you've got to pick up the phone, and you got to make the phone calls, because most people wait on the phone to ring, and when you wait on it to ring, it just doesn't do that. So let me take a second and kind of set the stage for what I'm going to go try to, the campaign I'm going to go try to show you people. To set the stage, I'm pretending that I'm a company that sells to the medical, dental, accounting firms within 75 miles of my office. I'm going to actually narrow that down to just kind of the medical side of it. I own a 5-person company with my partner, and we were very diverse, yet we have a loyal client base. We're spread too thin, yet can handle new clients. And, you know, that just sounds like everyone I talk to these days, you know, with the way the economy was, and really hasn't came out of yet, but the way it really was. I mean, I'm more than certain it hurt a lot of IT companies out there. I know it hurt the software business itself. But, you know, if you get yourself into a rut and you can still handle 5, 10, 15, 20 more clientele for doing backup, then it might be worth your time. Another famous quote, I do not think there is any other quality so essential to success of any kind as a quality of perseverance. It overcomes almost everything, even nature. And you guys got that one figured out? Good old John Rockefeller, excuse me. But key word in sales is perseverance. Rob, are there any questions before I continue on with my little project?
Well, a comment and one question which I've answered. Victor says his biggest problem is trouble with prospecting. I said when he mentioned that, I think we were talking about knocking on doors. So he's probably like me, a techie and afraid to knock on doors. That beats me. And then Frank asked how he says, let's see, most times we have a challenge when selling RBS to prospects because of all the competition, Carbonite, SOS, etc. And what's the best way to handle their challenges in terms of price point and features? I sent Frank a link to some articles on our blog and told him that we would schedule a different webinar that specifically focuses on competitive selling. That's not something that we can cover in a prospecting webinar, but it's definitely something that we should work up and present soon.
Right. And absolutely. But now, in answering that question just a little bit, and hopefully everyone will join, is it is prospecting. And now you're saying, what do I do? How do I compete with these people? You know the best way to compete with them? Have a strong enough reference that other people that want to use your business knows that reference. And as soon as you say, Bill's been using our product for over 3 years at his medical facility, backing up things, and is just elated with exactly what we've been able to provide for him. He did say he might be paying a little bit more, but he sleeps tonight because of it. So, I mean, it's just amazing how reference selling, which we talk about, can make those objections go away. So. But that is something we really should do, and we've talked about that, and we really should do something about how to beat our competition, and I think we can do that, Rob. So, and here's the things you need for your project. You don't have to go down to Staples and buy them. You need a defined strategic company goal to visit 3 to 5 new opportunities each week. Now, if you were in sales and you worked for me, you would be getting a whole lot more than 3 to 5s. If you start off this way and you have not been doing this and you have some successes, then you and other people in the company are going to move it from 3 to 5 to 5 to 8. But let's let's start off in crawl, walk, and run and see how it works. Identify a market like the medical offices, dental offices, accounting firms. You guys know that your target market better than we do. Keep in mind that most of you out there too, if it's local customers, you're going to be able to give them a much faster restore than some of these other vendors that might have to take the information out of the cloud or actually send it to you with some with some odd bandwidth. I mean, most of you can just put on a USB, go out and take care of things, and that would beat the competition a little bit too, wouldn't it, Rob?
Yes, it would.
And
I'm a little delayed behind
right.
you in my voice here, Dave, so I'm on a different circuit than you are. It's a little hard to have a one-on-one conversation, so I'm mostly a mute.
Got it. Okay. Identify the person who's going to make the calls, and the reason why I do that is you really just want to start off with one person doing it so that person can learn how and teach others if needed. But then that one person can also start sharing to everyone about how these calls are being made, the successes, the failures, and get everybody involved. I mean, if you're only a 5 or 6 man company, couldn't you every Friday morning at 7:30 or 8 in the morning do a here's what happened during prospecting for the week for 30 minutes and get everybody excited about going forward? So you have to have a customer reference. You absolutely have to when you go in. All right? You don't necessarily have to give them their phone number, but you need to be able to speak about an account like the place you're going to that you already do business for. The Google Maps, and we'll talk about this a little more. All you got to do is bring up Google in the town, Google Maps with the town that you're in, shrink it or grow it to the area you want to cover, type the word medical offices, and bingo, you have prospecting to do between leaving your office and your very first sales call. Allow 15 extra minutes to stop at one place on the way. Allow 15 minutes to stop at another one coming back. Now you've made 2 prospect calls that might generate some revenue for you. Have something to lead with you, okay? Whether it's a flyer, marketing the medical industry and you offer these types of things, whatever it is, you got to lead something. And you have to have a positive attitude, even if they're ugly. And that's one thing we salespeople get to do just by that. Now, this one's really kind of interesting, and there's a lot more words. I've got this up on the screen, prospecting said opportunity generation. And I put opportunity generation up there because that's kind of leads. Great words for prospecting, words not to use prospecting. I've talked to you guys before about not liking the fact that every time I call everybody, it goes right to voicemail. Well, some companies actually promote when you call on their phone while they're navigating around comments like, are you worried about a disaster? If so, give us a call and we'll take care of backing up your software. These are just not good words to use. You got to find a way around those things. So the ones on the right side, I think, are just not, in all honesty, not good words, and every one of them could be used in our industry. But I think what you want to do is you want to put the positive side on it, the return on investment side of it, the fact that they're going to have the data in X amount of time, and some of the better things to use might be something as simple as what we have found is most of the local medical offices here want us backing up every evening. And because of that and the commitments they've made, we're giving everyone a really good rate for this technology. And we can actually have you up 3 or 4 go down. Now, you can say 3 or 4 hours anytime during the day if you provide that service. You could say something like, Dr. Roberts has been using our solution for years. And if he's a great reference, would you like to speak with him? You can do things like reliable restore of data. Words like reliable, can-do type things are much better, I think, to speak about than devastation and tragedy and disaster and those types of things. But what would happen if your systems? That's always a good question. I probably shouldn't have put that one on. You guys know that one. Me, that's where you got 3 or 4 real strong bulletins, right? If you lost your system, lost your data, what would it do to you? and have them explain it. Make sure you have them explain it, because when they explain it, they've already thought about that part of it. Now you can throw out about 3 things that they haven't thought about. And then he won't sleep that good that night before the night after that call, and you should be able to call him next door and get his order. So let's take a little second on rewards. This has been in my other slides. Sometimes I'm going to go through this and I'll explain to you what I mean by it. You know, it's always something given to one of your team members for accomplishing something that benefits you and the company. You know, a great example is just have a, you know, gift card on your desk, you know, that you can hand out. Just don't make it to McDonald's. But, you know, everyone can prospect. Everyone in your company can prospect, or they can be a part of assisting in whoever's doing the prospecting to close their business. And so always reward your staff with things like this. You don't have to start a commission program. You don't have to say that they're, you know, they're salespeople, because they're technical people you're trying to ask to be sales. So they like these kinds of rewards much more than they like having a quota and a comp plan. Now, if you're large enough CMST where you have those things in place, I'm certainly not telling you to get rid of them. But, you know, but it's really good to reward your people, especially if they're helping you generate new clients. And so, Rob, before I move forward, do we have anything else?
No. I've been able to answer the questions by typing back at them so far. There's nothing that we need to handle by voice.
Okay, I think our time's well, so.
Let me invite everybody to ask more questions. If you anything, even if it's off topic, like Greg's, just type it and we'll deal with it.
Okay. All right. This kind of project, this is a homework that you've got to do. Okay. Project leader identifies the medical facilities within 25 miles of the office that you're not installed in, that you haven't talked to, and they've already said they use someone else. Or if they use someone else, maybe you're not that happy. But Google it, and bingo, you're going to see every open opportunity between where you're going that day. If you're going from a client to another client, try to find an open opportunity for 5 or 10 minutes just to go in and introduce yourself. It doesn't have to be an hour sales call. And keep in mind, when you identify one as an opportunity, have someone other than yourself to call them the next day. You know, I understand you with Terry asked me for a brief few minutes, or there's some questions I can answer for you. And if you have a second person call, they're already feeling it. It's more than a one-man show, right? You now have identified business that can use your services. Determine which ones you can visit every day while going to the customer call that you're making, and prepare your introduction. You know, if you decide to pick the medical or whatever you decide, prepare it, understand it, and if you prepare it and understand it, you're gonna get past that person that doesn't want you to talk to the decision maker. So here's a few more questions, which are really good. Self-evaluation. Have you identified and researched your market? You know, I've been driving that point. Don't go after medical and accounting in the first 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. Have a success in what you're good at doing. Have you identified and researched your competition in the area? Are there other MSPs in the area that are offering the service? Especially offering the service to the one you're going after, that particular market. And by the way, if they don't have a need and they're talking to you, that the people you're prospecting on, please make yourself notes of what are you guys using, or we're using company X to back. With the charges. So you can learn a lot about the competition by asking the people that are using them. And do you have the tools to do proper research? I'm certain that you do. You know, you've got an internet, and you can go find prospects that way. Now, when we do part 2 and part 3 of prospecting, I'll have a lot more for you on that one. But right now, I want you to, if you like this concept, I want you to focus for 3 or 4 weeks and see what happens for you. Right. You know, do you know what they're using now instead of your service? And do you know how your service can solve a problem for your prospect? And actually, Rob came up with that one. There was a, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. About every 5 years they try to teach us salespeople new. I don't know if it's new techniques, but it's certainly what they consider the new things that help selling in the industry. And this one here basically says find the problem that you can solve for your prospect. And back then I took a 2-day sales course on something called feeling the pain. And if you could get the customer to actually describe the pain they're having for the solution that you have, then you can really get them to pinpoint what the selection criteria is going to be for how they buy something. And when you get that pain out of them, it certainly does take away the revenue cost to take the pain go away. So it's a real nice approach. Okay, the calls. First, have a handout and the prepared first impression like, right? My name is Tom with ABC Computing. We provide IT services and a remote backup solution to the medical offices within our coverage area. That spells things out real quick, okay? And then you can go on from that.
Can I interject something here?
Sure, absolutely. Anytime.
Yep, the handout, it's great to have a handout and some sales collateral material. And sometimes that stuff's a little difficult to come up with, especially at the beginning when you don't know the business completely. But those who buy who buy software from us get the business kit. They get something called the RBS Business Kit. Most people who are in here today already have it, and it contains all kinds of things, all kinds of camera-ready art and flyers and doc files, the pictures that you can use to come up with your own flyouts and your own handouts and flyers.
Absolutely, without doubt. If you pick the medical industry, you can find a picture of the internet of a doctor with a, scrubbed up and doing some surgery and stick him up in the top right-hand corner if you're going to a medical facility, because when they see it, they'll look at it and read it, right? That's
right.
Comfort level, but,
let me, as somebody who's really conscious of copyright laws, let me make sure that any pictures or intellectual property that you use, you've got the right to use it. I'll tell you, here's a service that we use here. Most of the images on our website that we didn't take ourselves come from a service called dreamstime.com, DREAMSTIME, dreamstime.com. These are a lot of really good images. You can search the database by image type or by image content or by the emotional feeling that the image might give you. You can buy these. They're really cheap, and the prices are, well, in the range of 20 cents for a picture that you could use royalty-free forever. So I highly recommend going to that service and using it. Getty Images is another. They're more expensive, and there are several. The ones that we use are Dreamstime.
Right. And he's exactly right. And you go on there. I mean, I've used it to put these together and other things. I mean, if you can think of an image that you want and you type it, you're going to find the image. So, yeah, thanks a lot for that, Rob. And then you can also say things like, do you personally know Dr. Long? He has been relying on our backup protection for 3 years now. We're looking to bring the solution to others at this point. I mean, that is just, guys, that is so strong, especially if they know Dr. Long. And in a confined area or a 20-mile radius of a city, I kind of personally believe almost all the doctors know everybody. Oh, excuse me. Okay, and would you be my contact point for the explanation of the solution? And the reason why I say that is, doctors usually have gatekeepers. Gatekeepers are people who sit out front and don't let people get to the doctor. But it would be nice to know at that moment if she's going to make the remote backup decision or if he's going to. Because if it's going to be her, and this isn't a rude question, you just simply ask who will be my who will be my contact point as we go forward here. To the doctor, then you got to get to the doctor somehow. And that's the best time to do it before you leave is over the next, I know that the doctor's very busy, but over the next 5 to 10 days, could you make me just a 10-minute appointment with him, and I won't take more than 10. And they'll usually give you the 10-minute appointment, and you go from there. Another quote. I'll put this one on here for you, Rob. Those are contingent upon the attitude of the salesman, not the attitude of the prospect. Ladies and gentlemen, that is sales. It is just absolutely correct. You know, I kind of live my day at you know, making as many phone calls as I have, because in an industry like this, I'm sure you're well aware, you get a lot more no's than you get yeses. But if I keep making those phone calls, the percentages turn around and have a good day. So I try to keep my attitude good through the whole thing. But that's just me. I'm not techie, huh, Rob? Okay, we've got the project, the calls. Okay, if the contact says that it would be handled by the doctor, ask to speak with him and make an appointment then. Okay, I mean, you know, you got to do it right then. You know, if it's tomorrow morning at 9, you know, I wouldn't say, do you want me to meet you at the hospital? But he is going to have a moment to spend with you if this is important. If that goes really well, have someone from your office contact them the next day about your solution. Call, I understand, we talked about this earlier, but I understood so-and-so met with you yesterday, and I just want to call and make sure he was able to explain our solution to you the way you need it. And really, it's just a great way of doing follow-up. It's a great way of doing it with someone different, and that someone that calls the second time can also put a spin on where he thinks the opportunity is, because it's really gone from a prospect to an opportunity at that point. And keep in mind, doctor, make a decision fast, right? It's just yes or no. I mean, I don't think they dwell on things too long. Other things to do, if the call goes bad or there's no need for your service, save the name somewhere so you don't call on it again and continue your prospecting. Now, here's kind of a good point. I don't know how many of you are using a CRM system. Well, I don't know. And a CRM system could be even something like Goldmine or ACT, or we happen to use something called Sugar CRM. But every lead that comes into remote backup, the first thing I do when I get into work is I convert the lead into CRM based on what they were asking for. I send them out emails, and I queue them to be called at what time I think I need to queue them to be called. And I'm done. I know that, you know, 2.5 days from now at 4:30 in the afternoon, I'm going to need to call Derek. He's checked out an evaluation. But I also can put in there, these people have been using so-and-so for this amount of time. It does not make any sense for us to call them. And so whenever I went to go prospecting, the 3 that I picked that day, I could always look in the database and make sure I wasn't going to someone that someone's already been to or anything else. But you know, I've used CRMs for a long time, and I did in my first month here. And you know, I'll be honest with you, it probably cost Rob some revenue for me not using it. I was trying to keep track of everything in Excel on a piece of paper. But you know, now when I walk in the morning, I just open up CRM, and there it is from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5. Every phone call I got to make. So remember the funnel. You now have names going in, and if there is no need, they need to be going out. Don't leave customers that aren't going to buy in your funnel. Don't consider them to continually to be a prospect or an opportunity. But, you know, if you had a CRM system and you knew the guy wasn't going to do anything, but you knew he might do something in a couple of years, then you could queue him up 15 months from right then to give him a call, see how he's doing. Or queue him up every 3 minutes, every 3 months, and call, see how he's doing. So when he's ready to buy, he's going to buy from you because you called him every 3 months. Any more questions there, Rob, before I go on?
No more questions so far, except one that I think of constantly when I'm trying to do sales, which I try not to do anymore these days. But Dave, I'm sure that this gets easier once you start it. You're nervous. What happens? When does it get easier? You know, you're going to make that call every 3 months, and several calls like that every 3 months or so, even if the customer has told you no.
That's right.
I suppose it just gets easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well, think about it. It's kind of an interesting thought process. Most of these people that are paying attention, or logged in today, aren't going to introduce themselves as a sales rep. They're going to introduce them as the chief technical officer of their company or whatever it might be. But sales is a whole lot like baseball. Now, if oh my goodness, who is one you guys all would probably know? If Albert Pujols was hitting 212, he wouldn't have just signed a $290 million contract, but because his batting average is always over 300, people want to keep him around. But think about that. Albert Pujols, who is making, I think it's $30 million a year, it might be more than that, he is wrong 70% of the time. He gets out 70% of the time. It's the same way in sales. It's all percentages. I have to make the phone calls to make my quota. I have to convert leads to opportunities. I have to convert or to prospects. I have to turn prospects into someone that's buying. And I hope I can have my winning percentage as high as Albert Pujols's. And when you're going to find that you really enjoy this is when you close a piece of business. I mean, that's it. You're going to go knock on the door, and after 6 times and nothing happens, guess what could happen on the you could have a new client. Maybe you're good and you do 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4, but you know what? It might be 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7. But if you don't try it, you're going to have 0 out of 1.
So, Dave, somebody asked the question. Somebody wants to know if when do you give up, basically, is the bottom line. Earlier you talked about the funnel process, and then you talked about moving people out of the funnel. And, in our business, our customers who may already be using a solution out there may, a year and a half from now, get tired of that solution and want to switch. So can't we just keep calling them forever?
Well, yeah, certainly you can. It's all based on time. You've got to remember, I do a few more things for you besides sell, but if I'm not sitting there on the phone, you're not sleeping good, right? And so you have to determine, as an owner of a company, or what amount of time am I going to spend weekly or daily on prospecting? And I've got to tell you right now, I think you could spend less than 3 hours a week and make an impact on your business. I mean, I really, really do, because I'd love to know what percentage of small business is backing up their data. Does anyone know that from a documented standpoint?
Well, there have been several surveys out recently. One survey in particular, can't remember, by a small business association, reported that 57% of the respondents to the questionnaire said that they aren't sure that they're doing their backups properly. And then that's right. Just enough for us to go in there. We're consultants, and we know how to do backups, and we have the tools to do backups. Mm-hmm. So, and we can answer those questions. We can go into all 57% of those who aren't sure, and we can say, yes, you are doing your backups right, or no, you're not doing your backups right, and here's an alternative.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And then, I'll just take just a minute. You had mentioned, how do you know when to get rid of them? You put them in the top of the funnel. They either come out the bottom giving you revenue, or they jump out the side and you don't want to see them anymore, or you set it up to see them in 6 or 8 months. Well, I rely for CRM on that. I'll give you an example, and the MSPs that are on will understand this. And I recognize a lot of the names there because I've called them for their subscription renewals. And I will go ahead and apologize right now if I call too often or I'm aggressive, but that's my job. I'm supposed to sell you on your subscription renewals and bring the revenue into our corporation. And so what I do is let's say this on a subscription renewal. I call, and the first call is basically a courtesy call to let them know it's going to expire in about 29 days. And then I schedule up to call them the next week. And I schedule to call them the week after that, and I schedule to call them every 2 days until they're ready. If they won't call me back, answer anything, there's definitely a problem. I definitely send emails. But the day after it expires, I move it out about 5 weeks. and then I call it. And if I don't get through, I move it out about 5 more weeks, and I call it, and then I let it go. I'll send a closing email that simply says that I've tried to contact you so many times. If you want to get back on your maintenance, please call me. I don't say anything rude to them. But that's kind of the way I do it. Same thing. I get someone new. I move them as something lukewarm. But you got to remember, I'm getting leads different than our MSPs. I'm getting a lead that says, I want to evaluate your software. So that I'm beginning to, just because they're going to take the time to do it. But I move them through the process, and I keep track of where they are on 0 to 10. 10 meaning I'm getting the order, 6 meaning it's coming along. And so I can pretty much traffic what I'm doing there and decide when to stop calling them or not. So, alrighty, I have too much of a long-winded Woody there. If you have a live opportunity, call it 2 or 3 times a week while it is hot, because you don't, someone else might. And come on, everyone can carve out 15 minutes a day for prospecting. I know that you guys can make 1 a day if you're going to clients, because when I call for you people to talk to you about your subscription renewals, guess what I get told? He's out of the office on a call, okay? And so if you're out there on those calls that much, give yourself 15 extra minutes when you're going somewhere and stop in and see an opportunity. This is actually one of my favorites. You guys go ahead and read that and try to think out loud who you think said it. If someone knows who said it, IM or send us an IM, because it's I don't think you would think this person said it, but it's a wonderful, wonderful quote. Estee Lauder, go get it, right? She had to sell. Of course she did, right? She had to sell everything she ever did to move forward. I mean, I've smelled her perfume. It's not even that good. But she believes in selling. Life cannot do anything without selling it. Here's one of our last questionnaires. Do you really believe that prospecting will work? You have to ask yourself that. You guys are out, you're clients, you're doing everything else. The first thing you have to decide is, do we want more clients? And on the remote backup side, I'm certain you do. After you get things set up, it pretty much takes care of it itself. There are problems occasionally, but you've got to decide if you want the additional work, and if you do, you're not going to get it without prospecting. Do you have a CRM system to track prospecting? Rob, it's a 5-6 man company. Can't you get ACT for $4.99 or something like that?
You can get ACT. I tried it. We've got it here, and it didn't do the job for us. It has
Sugar
really
CRM
cool
free.
features. One of them that we liked the most is the ability to import directly from a screen. So you can you can click a screen on a website that's loaded with names and addresses, and it can go right into ACT. It's a pretty cool utility. Right. And yeah, the Sugar CRM system that we use is open source, and it is free.
Right.
You have to do your own maintenance to it unless you buy a maintenance plan from Sugar, but a lot of people use it. There's a lot of community support for it. I'm not sure I would recommend it for a 1 or 2 person or 3-person company.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. But if you got more than that, I mean, I'm using it, guys, the Sugar CRM, and I absolutely love it. But I'm being pretty defined in what I'm doing. It does a whole lot more than what I'm using it for right now, which I'll get into. But I will continue on. Are you excited about your service? And do you read any sales books? I'm trying to think the one I like the most. There's actually a book out there called Strategic Selling, and it basically will teach you how to sell basically into the IT departments of large companies. And it's actually a very, very good book. And the nice thing about doing that, if you do want other people in your company to assist in some of the selling and stuff, if they'll read the book, and when you guys talk about a specific account, you can actually say 3 words to each other, and you'll know exactly where the account is. So, kind of in summary here, for the first part of prospecting, taking small bites, just crawl, walk, and run, and remember the funnel system. Don't get out there and start running down the street with flyers and sticking them on cars. Have a defined, idea of what you want to accomplish and measure those accomplishments. Remember that a new prospect is only a Google map away. It takes 10 minutes to find a new opportunity before going on a client call. Heck, maybe 2 stops. I never really had sold anything that you could do that with. And in fact, it's kind of the small business medical office. I really never sold into that type of thing. But boy, it sure would be nice to know all I do on Google an hour for an hour on Monday, and I have enough free prospect calls for the entire week. In your call, you must give a customer story in the market you chose to prospect. Have someone else contact the follow-up call, and give rewards in the company for those that assist. Not if you don't get the business. You got to get the business. They have to understand that. But certainly give rewards to those, and then we've just got a couple more little slides here, and we'll go to questions and answers. This one's great. Get everyone involved in prospecting, and there's my ugly mug. So with that, let me back up. With that, Rob, I think I'll open it to questions and answers if they have any, or if they're, if they just want to relay some data back to us on how we could do a better job.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Victor has said that the best books that he's found are Smart Calling by Art Sobczak. I think that's how you pronounce his name, and Unlock the Game by Ari Galper. And I got to agree with him on Art Sobczak. I like just about everything this guy does, and he has a very aggressive email campaign. I get his stuff about every 3 days. I'll get something from him, and it's informative.
Oh, I know you're talking about. Yeah,
I love to read it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I send them over to you. Let's see. And Stephen wants to know, how does he find how many backup services are in his area and how long they've been providing their service? And I guess I can answer that. If they're advertising in your area, then they're in your area. So most of them are going to go into the Yellow Pages. So I check the Yellow Pages, and also check Google for your local area, or is it called Frugal? There are ways, and I don't know how to do it, but there are ways on Google where you can find people in your area. I've done it before to locate service providers using other people's software in specific cities, and I cannot remember how to do it, but it can be done.
Well, let's see if we can do that and present that in the next webinar. That's actually a very, very good idea. But if you're not doing this, the competition out there right now is you.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's too much competition out there right now among the MSPs who provide personal services. Now, right. I mentioned a couple of times during this webinar that there's a difference competing with Carbonite and SOS Backup and Mozy and those kind of things than competing with people like yourselves who can offer a hands-on, personal, pick up the phone and call me anytime kind of service, which you can charge more money for. We're going to do a webinar on that. That's for sure. A lot of people are asking questions like that. So you're really, as far as your local competition are only people like yourself who likely are using our software. And you know what? It's just not that crowded out there. You've got, in a city like Memphis, I'll give you an example. Memphis, Tennessee has about 1 million people in the metropolitan area. We have 2 service providers here who use our backup and 2 who use somebody else's product. That's 1 million people with 4 service providers. That's not crowded.
Damn.
And it's similar in other parts of the country too. I've got some more questions here.
Sure.
Let's see. Someone wants me to say what Ben wants to know the names of those books again. Victor says it's Smart Calling and Unlock the Game. Let's see here. Greg says, I've been moving more and more toward rolling this out with more force, but I think I want to step up to a mirror server first. Okay, we can talk about that later. I didn't read that.
Ching, ching. Yeah, just call me. I'll take care of you.
Okay, and Stephen wants to know how many people are in the webinar today. There are 17 people in the webinar. There were 22 who signed up for it, and there were a number of them who called called in to ask if we were going to record it and make it available on our website later, and yes, we are. So probably those people will watch it later. That's all the questions for now, and we're just about out of time. Dave, last chance if anybody's got anything else they want us to cover, then, or Dave, if you want to close it up, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all, guys, keep in mind that when I mentioned I noticed a lot of your names, call me. I mean, if you got something, if you got a problem with an account or an opportunity and you'd like to talk to me about a way to, maybe I can give you some advice on how to close the business, just call me. I mean, that's really what we're here for. I mean, if you're successful, we sell more credits.
And what's our phone number and email address, Dave?
Yeah, it's 901-405-1234. And if you're going to send me an email, send it to dave@remote-backup.com.
Okay.
And
no more questions.
I mean, all right. Well, then, you guys have a good one. If you need anything, please take advantage of the phone number and the email address.
Thanks, everybody, for attending. You'll get emails afterwards. We'll also email you when the part 2 of this one is going to be produced. And thank you for coming. Have a good day.
Thank you much.